Blackhawks fall 4-3 to the Dallas Stars in overtime in Dallas, despite the late comeback push. But this game revealed a few issues in the Blackhawks game that are going to be problems going forward that they really need to address. And those are issues we're going to get into as the post-game show goes on. Welcome back to the Blackhawks Conversation. If you're new here, I'm here after every single Chicago Blackhawks game doing an in-depth analysis post-game show after every single game. I'm also live right here on YouTube for every single Chicago Blackhawks game. So if you want to come join the watch along right here on YouTube, it's a lot of fun. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that. I also just launched blackhawksconversation.com. It's the website, so be sure to go check that out. A lot of good stuff on there, including some articles that I've written. I'm going to be writing some articles about the Blackhawks going forward. Um, so yeah, there's like I said, this game revealed some holes for the Blackhawks, and we're gonna get into it. So to start the game, a few changes. Del Mastro and Lafferty were scratched. Lardis obviously got called up. He was placed on the fourth line next to Donato and Slaggert, and Mangiapane got the bump up to the third line with Moore and Mikheyev after playing a really good game against Vancouver in his Blackhawks debut. Um, Now, to kind of sum up this game, the Hawks got worked. The Hawks got dominated. I mean, the base stats of this game say so. 32-17 were the shots. Um, this game was Dallas dominant, and where I will give the Blackhawks credit, one, Arvid Soderblom had a good night overall. There were a couple ones you want back. But overall, Soderblom had a good night. He had a good game against a tough, relentless Dallas Stars team. The Blackhawks decor also did a great job of keeping Dallas wide and not giving them a whole lot of grade A opportunities. Um, and they did a great job of what Jeff Blashill calls the bend and don't break. Um, they did a good job of that tonight, and it just didn't quite work out for him in the end. And again, if Bedard wins that face-off in overtime and the Hawks get possession and the Hawks win, we're probably having a completely different conversation. Um, but yeah, this is a game where the Hawks get the early 2-0 lead um, on a nice tip by Bertuzzi, and then a great play behind the net to get the puck to Rinzel. He's wide open in front, and he rifles it home. He's got a great shot. But unfortunately, on that goal in the first period, relatively early on, in order to set up the play, Oliver Moore takes a nasty spill into the boards, feet first. He was hurt right away. You can tell, even on the replay. Sorry, the goal replay. Sam Rinzel is fist bumping Tyler Bertuzzi, and you can see him say to Bertuzzi, "Is Morsey okay?" And then they kind of all go over to him, and he's really favoring his right knee. I can't remember one of his knees he was holding as he goes off the ice, and he goes straight to the Blackhawks locker room, and he doesn't come back. So as of right now, I don't have an update. Um, Actually, I just did get an update. Head coach Jeff Blashill says Oliver Moore will not play tomorrow versus Utah, and we'll know more after that. So Oliver Moore leaves the game really early on, straight to the dressing room, doesn't come back, and as of right now, Jeff Blashill says Moore will not play tomorrow versus Utah. So that's tough. And that plays right into an issue the Hawks are having that I'm going to get into later. Dallas comes back. They end up getting one um, before the end of the period. They end up tying it in the early in the third. They then take the lead in the third, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe this was the first game all season, at least that I can remember, and we kind of talked about it in the live stream. I think this was the first game that the Blackhawks scored a goal late in the game with an empty net, and it's Connor Bedard from the blue line. Connor Bedard, who was pretty quiet most of the night. Um, Credit to Dallas for shutting him down, but I think it was also just one of those nights for Bedard where he was a bit quiet, he was a bit off, maybe not feeling his game as much as usual, but he ends up tying the game late with under a minute to go. Empty net. It's a shot from the blue line. I initially thought Donato got a piece of it. It did change direction, but it hit Tyler Myers, the newly acquired Dallas Star Tyler Myers, and went into the back of the net. We tied it. the nice cold, no celebration from Bedard, and we go to overtime. And like I said, we get to overtime, and overtime 3-on-3 is a coin toss. Dallas wins the draw, and the Hawks never see the puck. Uh, like I said, Soderblom had a good game, but that was one of the goals you really want back. It's a weak pass to the slot, and Heiskanen ends up getting a tap on it, but he barely taps the puck, and it just cleanly beats Soderblom. So again, Arvid Soderblom had a great game. Early in this game, he made a lot of really big saves, and by early, I mean like the first half of the game, and even later into the second and third periods too. I mean, he was good all night. He made a lot of really, really good saves. He stopped some 2-on-1s, some cross crease passes, some really good opportunities from the Stars. He stopped. Um, but that overtime goal is one that you probably want back. It wasn't the greatest goal for him to let in, wasn't the greatest look, and because of that, you lose the game. They get a point, which doesn't really matter at this point in the year. They're not making the playoffs. So yeah, overall, Hawks get outshot 32-15. They did a relatively decent job of the bend not break thing that Jeff Blashill talks about. Soderblom had a good game. Defense wise, the whole decor did a pretty good job overall of shutting down Dallas. Just with, I mean, you let in 3 goals, four goals, 3 in regulation. That's not really a great game, but when you take into account how dominant Dallas was for a big parts of this game and the opportunities they had 3 power plays. I would say overall, this young Blackhawks core made a step in the right direction with how they held off the Dallas attack. I thought the penalty kill looked pretty good overall. They were 2 for 3. They got scored on the third power play late. I think there was 9 seconds left or something on the power play when they got scored on. Um, Overall, I thought it looked good, but a big issue that has started to reveal itself since the trade deadline, and now we're 2 days out of the trade deadline, is the faceoffs. The Hawks were 31% tonight in the faceoff dot. I believe if you combine that with last game, I did just see it here. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it again. Let me find it now. There was a stat about their faceoffs from this game to last game. God, this is so unprofessional. I apologize. Um, Blackhawks are 32% in the last two games on the faceoff. So they were 31% tonight. They're 32% if you combine tonight with last night against Vancouver. And so you're really seeing the loss of Dickinson and Foligno there. The center core is really taking quite the hit. And Oliver Moore going down with injury does not help with that. That's another guy who actually has been pretty consistent, I would say, on the dot, especially in a time where Dart and Nazar aren't that consistent. So faceoffs are an area that the Hawks are really hurting in, and that is a really significant area to hurt because if you don't have the puck, you're chasing the whole game, and this is a young team that when they're chasing the game, it's a problem. Like Connor Bedard went 1 for 8 tonight on faceoffs. He won 1, he lost 8. Ryan Green went 3 for 7. Frank Nazar went 4 for 6. Ryan Donato went 3 for 6. The only guys who were above 50% or above were Oliver Moore 1-1 and Teuvo Teravainen that took a 1 off and won it at 1-0. So faceoffs are a big issue for this team, and like I said, the loss of Dickinson and Foligno and now the injury and who knows how long it's going to be to Oliver Moore really hurts. Um, let's go over some positives though. Um, Nazar had 2 assists tonight. Um, he also had a 2-point game against Vancouver. Um, one of them being a goal. So he's got a goal and 3 assists in his last 2 games. And I believe, let me just check. I believe it's 5 points over his last 3. He's got 5 points over his last 3. So Nazar starting to rack up the points again. It might, it's he's had a tough year in that department. So confidence, like I said, is a big thing with him. If he can start racking up those points again, I think it'll be big for him. And it's really important that he and the other young guys on this team finish the year strong. And luckily, we're seeing a bit of a stride in that direction. post-Olympic break from Frank Nazar. He by no means played a perfect game tonight. There were errors. There was a play. He had a 2-on-1 with Nick Lardis. I believe it was in the third period when they were either tied or down by one. I don't remember. And he went for the toe drag. And I don't know if it's because there wasn't a lane or what, but he had Lardis wide open, streaking in, would have had an in tight breakaway, and he goes for the toe drag. He mishandles it, gets checked, puck goes back the other way. Teravainen also had 2 assists. Teravainen's been hot lately. He stays hot with 2 points tonight. And although Oliver Moore got injured, he also had an assist. So there's a few positives there. The young guys are looking good. I thought Artem Levshinov had a pretty decent game. He by no means had a bad game. Sam Renzel had a goal tonight. He had a good game. I thought Sam Renzel played great. He had a lot of power play responsibility tonight. I don't remember really seeing Levshinov get much power play time. I would have to check that. I'm not going to, but Sam Renzel got most of the power play time tonight, if I remember correctly, and I thought he looked good. Um, yeah, so it's a tough loss, but it's man, I feel like a broken record saying, it's the learning curve, it's the learning development, it's part of the process with these guys. But I mean, it is like they got to learn how to win these games, and they got closer tonight. They tied the game late, but they just couldn't get it done in overtime, which again is a coin toss. So, um, for those of you that are new here, I take to Twitter after every game and I ask if anybody has any questions. We have questions today from Crash Dummy. He said, "What would be your ideal lineup, lines 1 through 4?" So I went ahead and I made my ideal lineup. I did the decor as well. Um, the decor, I'll start with the decor because not much changes. I think you keep it simple. Vlasic Crevier, I think you put Kaiser Levshinov back together. I love those two together. And then you do Grizzlick Renzel, and you have EDM rotating, Ethan Del Mastro rotating in for, I was gonna say Renzel, but Grizzlick. Honestly, like, and I know Grizzlick is the only veteran in the lineup, but these last 20 games are an audition for the young blue line. So give them the full audition. Have an all U-25 blue line for the end of this year. You're not making the playoffs. What else is there to gain? You might as well use this time to develop and see what you have out of these young guys. So I think you rotate Ethan Del Mastro in for Grizzlick, or you kind of maybe even rotate a few of the young guys with Grizzlick. Just make sure you're giving young guys time, minutes. So that's what I would do with the back end. And on the forward core, I know I've said a lot recently that an ideal 1-2-3 is Nazar, Bedard, Moore, or sorry, Bedard, Nazar, Moore. But honestly, going forward, I think it'd be really cool to see on the top line Nazar on the left with Bedard down the middle, Bertuzzi on the right, with Lardis, Moore, and Teravainen, and Moore centering that line. Third line of Mangiapane, Green, Mikheyev, and a fourth line of Slager, Donato, Burakovsky. I think we can all agree that Burakovsky must be taken out of the top six. At the very least, take him off the first line. I mean, that still's not going to solve many problems. I mean, you got to take him out of the top six. But anyway, we've had that conversation many times. But I would like to see Bedard and Nazar together because they were together for the final stretch of last season. It worked out really well for both of them. I like those guys together. They both play really well with Bertuzzi, so put Bertuzzi on that top line. Lardis and Moore, to me, you got to keep those guys together. Lardis and Moore, they're great together, and they're also great with Teravainen. It's a similar formula as the top line. You have two guys that play really well together, and then you have a third guy that complements those two guys really well. So I think that top six of Nazar, Bedard, Bertuzzi, Lardis, Moore, Teravainen will be a lot of fun. And honestly, Mangiapane has played his way to a guy that I would like to see on that third line with Green and Mikheyev. And then the fourth line being Slager, Donato, Burakovsky. And I could see a switch of maybe some rotation with the wings there in the bottom six, but that's what I would go with going forward for the rest of the year, some sort of mix of that. Um, yeah. So that's it from me. Those are my thoughts on the game. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on the game. We're back at it tomorrow for a back-to-back at home against Utah. We play Utah twice this week, tomorrow and also on what would that be? Wednesday, I think. whatever the next game after tomorrow is. I believe it's Wednesday. Yeah, that's all for me. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on this game. Like I said, if you're new here, I'm here after every single Chicago Blackhawks game doing an in-depth analysis post-game show. I'm also live right here on YouTube for every single Chicago Blackhawks game, and I just launched blackhawksconversation.com. So be sure to head over there, check out some of the articles. A lot more articles coming your way. It's a cool website. I'm proud of it. I don't have much experience in website design, so I'm proud of it. Check it out. Let me know what you think. I'll see you tomorrow for the Utah game. Be sure to catch the live stream. I'll see you then.